Welcome back to TalkNorth.com. Thank you for listening. If you can, please download before you listen. It helps our business. I'd also like to thank our producer, Brandon Morton, and let you know if you'd like to sponsor this program or any of the programs on the network, you can reach me at jsouhan47@gmail.com. I know getting here tonight wasn't easy. We have weather, we had traffic. You all made it anyway. We do appreciate it. Great to have Vicki and Clyde back in the United States and at Tin Shed. We are at Tin Shed in Savage. Once again, Tin Shed. Check out all Tin Shed's great deals at Tin Shed. I always got to make sure. mn.com, tinshedmn.com. Michael, the grind's starting. Are you ready?
Yeah, I am ready. I'm excited. I'll be excited when these next 2 days go.
Hold it. We had a half of an ovation. Let's have a full ovation for Michael and hockey season. Thank you. And I'll just start off. This is the Russo-Souhan Show. It's mostly the Russo Show, part of the TalkNorth.com podcast network. We cover all the sports. Of course, this is our hockey entry. Go to iTunes or your favorite podcast app and just subscribe to the whole network if you get a chance. Rate us, whatever. All right, now, Michael.
No, I'm just excited. I'll be excited when these next 2 days go by just because I have so much writing still to do. But tomorrow, 3 o'clock flight to Nashville, and all of a sudden the beginning of 3-game road trip, but the team actually comes back between Denver and Winnipeg, so it's really kind of like a 2-game road trip. But yeah, I mean, I think everybody that's a Wild fan knows that this has been an eventful offseason, and this last month and a half, it felt like the offseason ended a while ago, and so it's just nice to be writing about hockey again. I was talking to one of the players. I was talking to Parisi about that today. It's just nice to actually be writing about stuff on the ice and not all the crap and drama and all that stuff away from the ice. And they've had a good camp. I mean, I was just talking to a reporter right now on the phone from another team that was telling me that he has never in his career covered a worse camp for his team, and he thinks the team, I don't want to say who it is, but he just cannot believe how bad this team was in camp.
He'll
and how
accidentally tell us later, so don't
the coach has been trashing them, and they're full of injuries, and here it's been the complete opposite. I mean, things are upbeat. New GM. I think a lot of people feel like some of the issues in the room have been addressed. I know talking to the players today, they think a lot of it was overblown, but they do think that a lot of it last year, Parisi and Stahl both said that they feel bad for the Fialas and the Donatos of the world that came in a real tense time last year, traded into this organization while the team was struggling and traded 4 popular players, and how that could not have been easy. And now all of a sudden they're here from the beginning of camp. They go to Vail. They're part of that team bonding last week. And look, does this all filter onto the ice? We will see. They have a very tough part of the schedule. But I think that a lot of people are really optimistic following what they've seen, at least on the ice so far in training camp.
The schedule is absolutely
crazy.
Brutal.
Yeah. I don't remember covering a start of the season like this. The Wild had a really, really, really tough end of the season last year. Boudreau said that they played 20 straight teams that made the playoffs. I don't think that's completely accurate, but it felt like it was close. But this year, 13 of their first 18 on the road. Like, I don't care how good you are, that's a tough grind to start the schedule. So you got to kind of get through this. And treading water is the wrong word, because you don't want to go into this with the feeling like if we're just 500, we're fine. You want to win these games. But this is hard. I mean, to open your season against Nashville, Colorado, and Winnipeg on the road, not an easy start to the schedule. And so you better get some points there, because as usual, the Wild have the ridiculous break between games 2 and 3. So just cosmetically, I say this every year, but just like, optically, if you start off 0-2-1 or 0-3, and other teams have played 5 or 6 games, you are really everybody plays 82, but the perception is that you're climbing uphill dramatically. So it's just a tough part of the schedule. So, I mean, you don't want to be doom and gloom from the beginning, but it's crazy that the league put a schedule like this together for the Wild to start off the season.
Absolutely. You did a podcast with Boudreau the other day. What's his mood like?
He's optimistic, and I think a lot of people that know Bruce, he's a positive guy, but a lot of times he's not the most optimistic. And right now, he just really likes the pace of practice. He really likes the way these guys are playing. He just absolutely feels that some of these players, he feels that he could play 4 lines even as long as they're in games. I mean, obviously, if you're down 2-0 immediately in games, ice times are going to diminish, and he's going to have to move things around. But he thinks the way the lines are built right now, that what he did in Dallas the other day when the Wild played their best preseason game is something that he could do throughout the year, where you really have, even strength-wise, the lines playing pretty much the same amount of minutes. And we saw that game. Mikko Koivu played with Donato and Hartman, a really good line, but even strength-wise, Mikko had the lowest amount of ice time, even strength amongst the centers, but overall amongst the forwards, he had the second highest ice time because he's still going to be getting a lot of that chunk of the penalty killing and be a mainstay, at least on the power play to start. And so he just, Bruce is excited about that. And the other thing is, and I don't think I'm putting words in his mouth, but just having Billy here, it's created a whole different type of feeling inside the organization, right from the start with everybody. And so, again, as Bruce said on the podcast, if they lose 5 in a row, all that could change very quickly. But Bruce, I think, is definitely excited to get going here.
What do we know about Billy Guerin that we might not have known a month ago?
I just think he is a demanding guy. I mean, I know somebody the other day that works for the team that was traveling and wasn't wearing his tie, and Billy wasn't happy and told him, "Don't talk to me until you put on your tie." That he wants you, and he said it in my original Q&A with him the day after he was hired. Remember, I sat down with him, and he said he was groomed by Lou Lamoriello. And there's a professional way to be as an organization. And that means suit and coat on the plane, tie, if you're traveling. So there's parts of that's awesome, that he's, or that I shouldn't say awesome is the wrong word, but that he's really demanding and structured. But then you see him, hanging out with the guys on the road, and you think he's still a player. I mean, I wasn't at the golf tournament, but I heard the stories of him sitting on the 18th green heckling guys as they were coming in. Apparently they were really hard on Fiala. Hey, thanks for signing, that type of stuff. And in the bars, just watching him talking with players and getting to know these guys. I mean, he knows there's boundaries, but on this retreat, he really wanted to get to know these guys as human beings. Because in a lot of ways, as a new GM, when you don't know these guys, you're liable. And not knowing their personalities, you're liable if there's a trade on the table and not knowing the personality of the team, you're just going to do stuff and not even think of the lives. And so I think he wanted to.
That reminds me of someone.
Yeah, and he just wanted to, trading guys on the day that his wives do, stuff like that. Yeah. Sending a guy to the minors and JT Brown on the day his wives do, stuff like that. So anyway, I mean, it's a business, but I think that I think Billy gets it. Obviously, the true test will be when he first puts his stamp on the team. Right now, he's managing a team that was completely built by Paul and Chuck Fletcher. And we'll see how they do. I mean, I'll tell you right now, I mean, we could take pot shots at Paul Fenton all we want, but the reality is that so far, Zuccarello and Hartman look like really good pickups, at least for now. I'm doing this story on Zuccarello for Thursday, and I was talking to him today, and I asked him, I'm like, what do you think of the whole lizard thing? And he goes, I actually thought it was funny. I think it came out wrong, which made it look bad. He goes, it actually made me get really close with the team quicker because on the group message, they all call him Lizard. And how he said that it basically it became such a funny joke amongst the players that it actually helped him almost get in on the group quicker, where he was really nervous. I mean, this is a guy from Norway that in 2010 was somebody that was, I don't want to give my story away, but this guy 9 years ago was just a guy that thought he was going to play his entire life in Sweden for Modo. And then he goes to the Olympics, has this great tournament, gets sort of discovered, signed in the NHL as a fourth liner and shootout specialist. He's playing for John Tortorella, pretty much is hating life. Goes during the lockout to play with Paul Maurice, the Winnipeg coach. Thinks he's going to never come back to the NHL and gets so invigorated by playing for Maurice there that he decides to come back to the Rangers. And he's been there for 9 years. And so, we could all look at him as this professional athlete that gets a bunch of points and is the most highest scoring Norwegian in history and, one of the top. I mean, his love affair with the Rangers fans is like second to none, and it's mutual. So we can think of him as this professional. But then if you think about it, you have this European that's all of a sudden signs his 5-year deal in Minnesota that comes here not knowing anybody. He's probably scared to death. Doesn't matter that he's 31. And so for him to admit his nerves coming to this new team, I think is pretty cool. And he's just a fascinating guy. And by the way, there are parts of the story, and I think I've said it all along, like the lizard thing that Paul Fenton made that everybody was making fun of him on. Like I actually got the analogy. Like it maybe it didn't come out as fluid as you would hope, but I knew exactly what he was talking about. I mean, if you watch Zuccarello on the ice, I don't want to now put my foot in my mouth and become the next Paul Fenton when it comes to like going viral on this.
I'm kind of hoping you will.
But this guy uses a stick that's as big as him. I mean, it's crazy. And so what Fenton was saying is that when he watches him, he just is constantly just kind of like a pest going into corners, sticking his stick in there, in and out like a lizard, and you see it on the ice now. And so, like God knows I've been a critic of Paul, but I thought that him being like dragged through the mud over that funny line was like insane. Like when I wrote it, I just thought it was a funny line, and it just went viral. Like it was the dumbest thing that anybody's ever said. But if you watch Zuccarello, kind of looks like a lizard when he's on the ice. Jim, back to you.
Lizards use sticks?
It's the stick is the tongue. That's the analogy, the tongue. It's in and out, in and out, in and out.
We need somebody to video these so we could have gotten that GIF and we could have put it everywhere.
Yeah.
So, Brandon, that's the next step for this network is to just film him at all times because we're going to end up with some promos out of what he just did.
Yeah.
Let's thank our primary sponsors. We are at Tin Shed in Savage, tinshedmn.com. Check that out. And you can find all their deals Mondays. They have buy one, get one free pizzas. They also have two for one happy hours, $5 happy hour drinks, $5 happy hour appetizers, 2 for 1 all day, every day, Michelob Light and Coors Light pints. As you can see, all kinds of video games and pinball machines and fun stuff along the wall, tons of TVs, great comfortable place to hang out. So check out tinshedmn.com and come out for one of the shows. Tentatively, now I have a big weekend coming up too. I'm going to New York for 2 Twins games and the Vikings game. If there's no Game 4 at Target Field on Tuesday night, we will do a live show October 8th here at 7 o'clock. I don't know what the odds of that are. So follow us at Talk North Pod on Twitter. We'll give you show updates as well as obviously following our personal accounts. We'll make sure we get information to Talk North Pod on Twitter. Also follow that one just because you can kind of keep track of everything that's going on with the network and the show.
We'll just give out Jim's cell phone number and you could just text him.
Really, I mean, these days, anybody who wants it already has it. It's really not that secret. So, yeah, I'll give you my cell phone. I don't care.
What do you think happens in New York, both with the Twins and the Vikings?
I think the Vikings win just because the Giants are. It's a good matchup for the Vikings. The Vikings,
Saquon, right?
Internally, the Vikings have all kinds of problems, and there's a lot of tension, but the Giants just aren't very good, and it's a rookie quarterback, and Zimmer's good against rookie quarterbacks. It's a bad run defense. The Vikings will be able to run the ball. It'll set up fine.
And Barker's out, too, right?
Yeah, and Barkley's out. The Twins is going to be fascinating because it's 2 really evenly matched teams, and this Twins team doesn't care anything about the past history between the teams. It's just such an even matchup. I wouldn't be surprised if they come back here 1-1.
That'd be cool.
Yeah, absolutely.
It'd be nice to see them go on a little run here.
Absolutely.
I just can't believe what happened.
It's a very likable team. Yeah. I like everybody from the front office to Rocco to the players.
That injury, though, the other day with the pop up to the pitchers, that's the type of stuff that's just got to drive management and a manager crazy. I mean, this is stuff that you do on day 1 of spring training. The art of calling off your teammates on a pop-up, and then right before the playoffs, you suffer such a stupid injury. I mean, it's just...
And the other one is that this team, the Twins haven't gone into a playoffs with everybody healthy since like 2003.
And they were...
And now they're without Buxton, who might be the best all-around
Yeah.
player. So internally they are lamenting that, although they won't say it externally.
Yeah.